If you love real emotional stories, hit subscribe, we post one every week. The will is invalid, Laura said. Her words sliced through the silence of the Sterling Foundation boardroom. Everyone froze. Martin, my father's senior curator and executor, held the formal documents midair. Laura stood tall, wearing black silk and fake grief. Before you begin, she murmured, sliding a single page across the table, there's a newer statement. From Edward. His last declaration. Her lawyer, Alan, smirked like he'd already won. My pulse roared in my ears. I'm Emily, his only daughter, the art historian who never quite measured up. Martin adjusted his glasses, reading as Laura's trembling voice filled the room. He declares his daughter, Emily Sterling, mentally unfit to manage the foundation or inherit any portion of his estate. He grants me full and sole control over the Sterling Foundation and the $100 million trust. The words hit like acid. The room went still, Laura's sister, their lawyer, everyone waiting for me to break, to cry, to prove her story right. I didn't move. I looked at Martin. He didn't look shocked. He looked ready. He clicked his laptop. Thank you, Laura, he said softly. By presenting that letter before the official reading, you've triggered the contingency clause. Laura blinked. The what? Alan leaned forward. What clause? Martin didn't answer. He simply turned the screen toward them. The one your husband didn't know about, the one Edward added after the forgery incident. Laura's face drained of color. The memory hit me like a storm. Before Laura, my father's world revolved around art and me. The foundation wasn't just his career, it was our heartbeat. We'd wander galleries until midnight, debating brushstrokes and light. Then Mom died, and 18 months later, Laura appeared. She wasn't the naive widow cliché. She was cunning, a rival gallery owner who saw grief as a business opportunity. She didn't just want his love, she wanted his name. His legacy. And for that, I had to vanish. It started with whispers. Emily's so emotional about art, Edward. She doesn't see the numbers. She smiled sweetly while rearranging my life. My mother's chair, accidentally donated. Her art studio, converted into Laura's gym. By the time I left for college, she'd rewritten me into a fragile fantasy. She's not grounded, Edward. She's running from reality, just like her mother. She never had to finish the sentence. And I believed it. For years, I believed it. Now, watching her pale in front of Martin's calm stare, I realized something. My father hadn't believed her, not completely. He'd left one final trap. And today, she'd walked straight into it. I stayed in London, buried in archives and centuries-old paint dust. I built a quiet empire of research, published my work, and became a name in the narrow world of Renaissance art history. But to my family, I was still the fragile dreamer, the daughter who couldn't handle reality. I'd call home, thrilled about a discovery, and Laura would answer in that polished, perfect voice. That's lovely, dear. Edward's in a meeting right now. He'll call you back. He never did. For 12 years, she painted me as unstable, and now, sitting in that boardroom, staring at her forged letter, I saw the final stroke of her masterpiece, the erasure of Emily Sterling. Laura let out a sharp laugh, all traces of mourning gone. A contingency clause, she mocked. Martin, this is absurd. You're an employee. I'm Edward's widow. She tapped her manicured nail on the fake letter. This is his final word. He finally saw his daughter for what she is, a liability. Her eyes locked on mine, gleaming with venom. Don't worry, sweetheart, she cooed, gesturing to her sister, Grace, who smiled like an executioner. Grace knows an excellent private facility upstate. Very discreet. You'll be well cared for. My blood went cold. This wasn't just about money. She wasn't trying to disinherit me, she was trying to erase me completely. This was the moment I was supposed to lose control, to scream, to hand her proof of my instability. But before I could speak, Martin rose. He didn't look at Laura. He didn't even acknowledge her. He simply stepped beside me, his calm cutting through the air like a blade. "Emily," he said softly. "Your father left very specific instructions. He told me, when this exact moment comes, she'll know what to do." He reached into his suit pocket and withdrew a small, sealed envelope. Cream paper. My name written in my father's bold, confident script, not the shaky hand of his final months. Laura's smirk faltered. Alan frowned. I took the envelope, my fingers trembling. I broke the wax seal. Inside were 5 thick cards, each scrawled with fragments, numbers, phrases, titles. Page 42, Plate 8B, The Shepherd's Offering. Catalogue 117, Maderno's Fall. Page 201, The Duke's Left Hand. Alan scoffed. "What is this? More games?" "It's not a game," I said quietly. "It's a code." Laura blinked. "What?" The fog of doubt that had haunted me for 12 years began to lift. "It's a cipher," I said, looking at Martin. "It's based on the 1568 edition of Vasari's Lives of the Artists. The book my father and I spent an entire summer studying together when I was 16. The one we both knew by heart. This wasn't a legal trick. It was a message. A secret only I could read. My father wasn't silenced, he'd been waiting for me to listen." Martin gave a small nod. His part was done. The rest was mine. I stood, gathering my coat and the 5 cards. "Where do you think you're going?" Laura demanded, her voice sharp now, stripped of charm. "This meeting isn't over." "Yes," I said, meeting her eyes. "It is." I pulled out my phone. I ignored the 14 missed calls from numbers I didn't recognize. My thumb hovered, then stopped on a name I hadn't dialed in years, a name my father used to call his true north. "I need to call Stephen," I said to Martin, already standing. I walked out of that boardroom, leaving Laura, her smug lawyer, and that forged letter in stunned silence. The first move had been made. Martin followed me through the echoing marble lobby. The Boston air outside cut through me like glass, but for the first time all day, I could breathe. "He knew you'd understand the cards," Martin said quietly. "He trusted you completely. He told me, Laura sees art as an investment. Emily sees it as a language. She'll be the only one who can read my last message." I didn't answer. My fingers were already dialing. The line rang twice before a deep, familiar voice answered. "Hello?" "Stephen," I said, my voice trembling. It's Emily Sterling." There was a sharp inhale on the other end. "Emily. My God. I've been waiting for this call for 2 years. Where are you?" "At the foundation," I said. "She did it. She has a letter, she's trying to have me declared incompetent." "I know," he said, voice suddenly firm. He predicted every move. "Don't go home. Don't talk to anyone else. Come to my office. Now." Stephen Whitmore, my father's oldest friend and one of the most respected art appraisers in New England, didn't arrive in a sleek black sedan, but in the same beat-up green Volvo he'd driven for decades. His office was 5 blocks away, a sanctuary of chaos, stacks of books, canvases leaning against every wall, the scent of turpentine and old paper. He was 70, kind-eyed, and when he hugged me, it nearly broke me. "He was so proud of you, Emily," he whispered. "Now, show me what you've got." We spread the 5 cards across his desk. To anyone else, they were nonsense. To me, they were coordinates. Page 42, plate 8b, I murmured. That's Vasari's text, the altarpiece in Florence. August 8th, my birthday. Stephen pointed to another. And this one, Maderno's fall. He called that the forgery he almost bought in '98, I said. That's the lot number. For 20 minutes, we worked, his experience, my training, my father's code weaving itself into meaning. The patterns aligned. My pulse quickened. It's not a password, I said finally, sitting back. It's a vault number. First Charter Bank. Private Holdings branch on Beacon Hill. Stephen's expression darkened. He crossed the room, pulled back a worn tapestry, and spun open an old safe. From it, he took a small brass key. He gave me this 6 months before he died, he said, placing it in my palm. He told me, when Emily knows which door it is, give her this. Not a second sooner. He handed me a sealed legal envelope too, a notarized document granting me, Emily Sterling, limited power of attorney for safe deposit box number 8119201, effective only upon his death. The bank was sterile, cold. The manager barely looked up until he saw the document and Stephen's key. Then everything changed. He escorted me to the vault, a steel chamber smelling faintly of metal and old air. The box slid onto the table. My hands shook as I lifted the lid. No money. No jewelry. No letter. Just 2 objects. A thick black leather ledger, the kind my father used for private acquisitions, and a single matte black hard drive. I stared at them, and something inside me shifted. My grief crystallized into purpose. Edward Sterling hadn't left me a memory. He'd left me a weapon. The ride back to Stephen's office was silent. The ledger on my lap felt like a headstone. The hard drive, like a fuse waiting to be lit. We locked the door behind us. Stephen poured 2 glasses of brandy, his hands trembling slightly. He always did love a bit of theater, he muttered. Which one first? I asked softly. The drive, he said. The ledger proves it. The drive explains it. He connected it. The screen flickered, and there he was. My father. Not the tall, commanding man I remembered, but thin, pale, worn down by illness. Still, his eyes burned with that same sharp brilliance. My dearest Emily, he began. If you're watching this, I'm gone, and Laura has played her final card. His voice was calm, steady, deliberate. You've probably wondered why I let her push you away. Why I didn't stop it. The truth is, I wasn't blind. I was waiting. He paused, exhaling slowly. The doctors gave me 2 years. I could have fought her then, but it would have destroyed everything, including you. So, I built quietly. I let her think she'd won. While she replaced authenticity with greed, I gathered evidence. I spent my final years building you a fortress. He gestured off-screen. The ledger holds the proof, dates, accounts, forged acquisitions, diverted charity funds. Laura turned art into currency and erased your mother's memory to feed her ego. But I used her pride against her. I let her believe she'd isolated you. I was protecting you. Because only distance made you untouchable. He leaned closer. His eyes softened. You're the only one who can read the truth hidden in my records. The trap is set, my love. Now it's time to spring it. The video ended. Silence swallowed the room. Then Stephen turned to me, his eyes glassy. He trusted you more than anyone. The next morning, the boardroom was filled with polite smiles and false confidence. Laura sat at the head of the table, every inch the triumphant widow, until the screen lit up again. Edward Sterling's face appeared, steady and unflinching. If you're watching this, the forgery has been revealed, he said. Gasps filled the room as he laid everything bare: fake donations, counterfeit paintings, embezzled funds. Then came the final blow, his true will. 70% to Emily Sterling. 30 to Laura Sterling, only if she never contests it. If you fight this, his recorded voice warned, the FBI receives every file. Laura's smile shattered. Her rage melted into panic, then defeat. I rose slowly. He gave me his legacy, I said, my voice clear. He gave you a severance package. You weren't his partner, Laura. You were his most expensive forgery. She took the money and disappeared within weeks. A month later, I stood in the main gallery of the Sterling Foundation as the genuine Monet, my mother's favorite, was rehung in its rightful place. My so-called useless research had unlocked the final mystery. My father hadn't abandoned me. He'd armed me. His love wasn't loud. It was deliberate. Strategic. Eternal.